In this Spectrum Protect Plus sizing video, we're going to go through and take a look at the sizing results. In the previous videos, we entered the information for the primary site, including the vCenter and the Microsoft SQL. So now we're going to take a look at the results for this primary site. On the Sizing Results tab, the first thing you're going to see is this Preferred VSnap Size. And this is going to do with the maximum size of the VSnap. And you can either choose automatic or you can specify the size on your own. We're going to go ahead and let it choose automatic. And if you want to see what that automatic size correlates to, if you scroll down, you'll see this VSnap pool size correlates to 100 terabytes. The next one is the VSnap Reserve percentage. This reserve percentage has to do with the amount of space set aside for overhead, for restores, for reuse. Now you can set it to automatic and let the Spectrum Protect Plus size it on a gradient basis, where the larger the VSnap, the less percentage of space you want to reserve. Or you can specify specifically the percentage of space you want to reserve. Now, when we are sizing these results, we're anticipating a steady state workload where we have a moderate amount of restores going on throughout the day. If you anticipate more restores or more data reuse, you will need to change the percentage of reserve space. The next piece is the VADP proxy. Is it going to reside on the VSnap server? If yes, you can leave it there. If you change it to no, the only difference you'll see is when you scroll down to your results, you'll see that the VADP has been broken out and is a separate entity in the results. We're going to go ahead and leave our VADP proxy residing on the VSnap server. The next thing you need to look at is this global preference portion over here. These global preferences have to do with the percent of free space that is left on the VSnap. For our automatic, it shows 15% as that targeted free space. And then 10% above that is going to be 25%. So if our VSnap does get below 25% free, we will start getting warnings. These numbers have to be updated inside of Spectrum Protect Plus itself. So to do that, you'll need to go into Spectrum Protect Plus. From the user interface, click on System Configuration and then Global Preferences. If you scroll down in the Global Preferences, you will see the target free space error percentage and the target free space warning percentage. Here you can update the two with the numbers that the worksheet gave us. So we'll enter 15 and 25. And then you can simply exit out of here. You don't have to restart Spectrum Protect Plus in order for those to become effective. Okay, so once you've updated those global preferences, the next thing we'll want to talk about is this replication workload. And this information is actually just for your information at this point, because this is the numbers you're going to take and put into your replication site so that you know what the replication workload is going into your secondary site. So when we go through and set up our secondary site in the next video, these are the numbers that we're going to pull in. So now let's go ahead and look at the results from our sizing exercise. The first thing to notice is that we will come out with multiple years projection, up to an 8-year projection. Depending upon the number of years out you're sizing your proof of concept or your implementation for, you're going to choose the correlating column. So when we set this up, our business requirements, we were looking at a 3-year projection. The first thing to notice is this peak VSnap front end rate. This has to do with the gigabits per second that are required in order to accommodate all of the data going in. So if you have a 10 gigabit network, that shouldn't be a problem. However, if you have a 1 gigabit network, then this will be an issue right there. And if you watch our video on what ifs, we'll show you how to compensate and change that. The second thing is the amount of data that once it has been deduped and compressed will actually be written out to the disks. And so we need to make sure that your disk subsystem can accommodate this write rate. This front end data is the amount of data that will be passed to the Spectrum Protect Plus server. And then over the 3 years, that managed amount of data will have grown to 584.5 terabytes. With that number, we're going to subtract out your compression savings, your dedupe savings, and so that will show you your data reduction savings. Then we're going to look at the VSnap Size estimate and the VSnap Size estimate for your logs. We're going to also need to add back in your VSnap Reserve. And if you were replicating data back to that, that would also get added in at this point. So finally, we end up with our VSnap physical capacity estimate down here at the bottom. Now in the Peach section, this section is now taking that capacity and breaking it into individual VSnaps. And remember, the VSnap size was based upon this VSnap pool size that you set at the very top. And we let it automatically set, so it automatically adjusted to 100 terabytes. So in order to accommodate a 276 terabyte workload, we're going to need 3 VSnaps. The peak VSnap front end rate for each VSnap is going to be 1.3 gigabytes per second. So you want to make sure your network can accommodate that. And the backend rate will be 53 megabytes per second. You'll then see below that the CPU core size, the VSnap memory required, and the log, cache, and cloud cache as well required. Finally, at the bottom here, you'll have a VADP soft cap. Because we have our VADP as part of our VSnap, this number tells us the maximum number of cores that the VADP can utilize. Below that, you'll see the replication copy that will be sent off to the replication site, and these numbers will be translated into our secondary site. You'll also see below that the object storage copy for the amount of data that's being sent out to the cloud for long-term retention. One thing to note, if you want to change the units that these show up on, you can click on the side of there and, for instance, change it from gigabits per second to gigabytes per hour by simply clicking there. Okay, so to reiterate the important takeaways from this sizing results sheet. First of all, you've got to set the global preferences on your Spectrum Protect Plus server. Second, you're going to have to take this replication workload numbers and use those when you are sizing the secondary site that's going to be receiving the replicated workload. The next thing you need to take notice of is the peak VSnap front end rate, and make sure that your network can accommodate this. Likewise, you need to look at the peak VSnap backend rate and make sure your disk subsystem can accommodate that write rate. You're then going to want to scroll down to the number of VSnaps that are required, and you need to look, once again, verify the network and the disk subsystem write rate. You're going to need to take note of the size of the VSnap storage pool and the CPU cores that are required for that, the memory, and then space that's going to be needed for the logs, the cache, and the cloud cache. If you are backing up VMware and need a VADP proxy, if that VADP proxy is sitting on your same VSnap server, then this will be the soft cap of how many CPU cores are utilized. If you had separated out that VADP from the VSnap, then you'll have to look at the sizing information for that VADP as well. You'll want to use these numbers and reference back to the blueprints in order to properly size the hardware required on the VSnaps and possible VADPs. Okay, please check out our next video, which will talk about sizing the secondary replication site, and the other videos which will also talk about what ifs for different scenarios where you need to make changes in order to accommodate your environment. Thank you.